This is probably the most important bill that we will take up this year. Safeguards to protect our children is something that we should be doing all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, for the people who don't know, and I'll say it right here publicly, I am a victim of a child molester. And this something that happened back in 1977 when I was 12 to 13 years old. It was something that has profoundly changed my life. I think it's very important that the legislators here and the people of this state see and feel through the eyes of a 12-year-old the pain and the suffering that went through. I'm a lucky person. I didn't go through it for long. It was just a few hours. Afterwards, I had to go through the pains of trying to convince my 15 brothers and sisters that please don't tell anybody. Let's keep this a secret. Years later, even while I was dating young ladies, I would be totally petrified that maybe she might find that out and somehow maybe my life or that relationship would be in jeopardy. But let me tell you a little bit about it, because I think it's important that we all know about it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if we choose to hide this thing, it's not going to go away. This is something that is real. It's something that happens every day. And it may have even happened to members here who may choose not to bring it out. When I was 12 or 13 years old, I was walking to pick up milk. And on my way home, by a wooded area called Leslie Sutherland Park, down in Yonkers, only a block away from my home, an individual walked by me and said, do you have a cigarette? And I said, no. And he walked on past me, and I was paying attention to what I was doing, and he had walked up into the woods. When I walked past those woods, he grabbed me and pulled me into the woods. And it continued from that point. It was a very scary experience, to say the least. I will say that these individuals operate on a compulsion, and it was very, very difficult, because at the moment you try to pull away, it's almost as if this individual was loving the fact you were trying to get away and wanted to keep you there. So I had to try a different approach. My approach turned out to be what may have saved my life. It could have. I don't know. I don't know, but thank God I'm here. But there are children out there who, let me tell you something, there are children out there who have not saved their lives, who maybe were not as fortunate as I was, but let me tell you a little bit about it. When I said to the individual, I said to him, I said, I have 8 brothers, and I thought maybe that would help. Figured he'd think that they were going to come out to get him, and I tried to pull away, and I tried to speak to this individual. And then I tried, because I knew that he was taking me up way into deep of those woods, and I knew that I was going to be gone, because he wanted to film dirty movies or tried to do certain things, and he did try to do certain things that I'd better off just not announcing here. But when I convinced him, and what I did was I said to him, I was a Boy Scout. My mother's expecting me home, and she's going to be down here looking for me. So you got to let me go. If you let me go, I'll come back tomorrow. And he said to me, and he continued, and like I said, it's continued for about 3 or so hours, and he said to me, and I'm trying to make the long story short, how am I going to figure that you're going to come back? And I said to him, trust me, I don't lie. I was lying straight through my teeth, Madam Speaker, but I said it to him, I don't lie, I want to get out of this. And long and short of it is, he let me go, let me leave, with the promise that I would be back in that spot 11 o'clock to go way into the woods to film dirty movies with other girls and other people that he knows. But you know what I did while I was there too? Something that your parents teach you. I knew that if I got away, that I was going to study this person. I was going to know everything about that person. And I did. I studied him. I could tell you that he had beige pinstripe pants, that he had no socks, he had brown moccasins, he had a cream-colored shirt, a slight goatee with a little bit of gray beard. I could tell you every little bit about that person. I studied him. because I knew that if I got away, he was going to see his day in court. When I got home, and let me tell you, when I did leave, and as soon as I got away from him, I ran. And I may not have been crying on the outside, but I was crying so hard on the inside because I didn't know what to do. But I was running home, and I ran around the corner. He had run to the other corner, and I saw him, and I stopped. I stopped crying, and I looked at him, and I waved. And I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." And he smiled at me, and he waved back. And I went home, and I called the police. And I saw my sister, and as I was telling the police, my sister started screaming, "Oh God," and ran out of the room. You have to know what that feels like. I didn't want to tell my mother, obviously. I didn't want to tell my father. How could you tell your father anything like this? Macho guy, you don't want to tell him this stuff. So I didn't want to tell him. And the police came and they interviewed me. And I went through the whole thing, not realizing that my mother was behind me. And I turned my head and I looked at her, and I looked in her eyes. I have not forgotten the look in her eyes to this day, how she turned her head, she sobbed, and she walked out of the room. The pain that she was feeling, the pain my father was feeling, the pain they all were in. Kind of the pain that you feel, the violation you feel. And I tried to convince the police department that I had successfully convinced him that tomorrow, 1 o'clock, he'll be there. The police department decided that, and I'm not in any way saying anything negative about the police department, don't get me wrong, but they felt that it was better that they stake it out that night. He's probably in the park, we'll find him. And I said, "No, he's not in the park. He will be there tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And they said, "No, he won't be." And the next day, a former colleague of us, and you know him, Senator Spano, who was just driving for the family oil business at the time, went with my brother Lenny. And they said, 1 o'clock, we're going to go to the woods, and we're going to check it out. 1 o'clock, they went there. Don't you know it? He was sitting there in the spot waiting for me to come. Right in that spot. Lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, he was wearing the same clothes, the same brown moccasins, the same pants, no socks. And sure enough, when my brother said to the police department, "I know it's him," after they captured him, they said, "Why do you know it's him?" He said, "My brother described him to a T." He said, including the gray hair on his chin. And he said, no, that's lint. He pulled it off. He subsequently was let go because there was not enough proof. Obviously, there was no witnesses. I was not raped, sodomized, thank God. And you probably wonder why I tell the story. I tell the story because I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to see what someone goes through. I was lucky. I didn't go through one iota what some of our young children go through. But I figure if you understand what I went through, maybe you'll see the need for laws like this. Maybe you'll see the need. In Westchester County alone, there are over 220 convicted sexual pedophiles. I don't know where they are. And you know what? If I knew that someone lived across the street from my home who was a pedophile, I would treat my child a little different. Maybe I'd treat that person a little different. Maybe that's what we don't want to hear. We don't want to label people. We don't want to tell people it's the boogeyman who lives next door. But look at what this individual did. He didn't rob a candy store. This is a pedophile with a compulsion. Compulsion to hurt. Innocent, the most innocent of our society. The most innocent. I want us to understand it. Because registration is not the end all, the be all. It's just a start. And I really think that we should be looking towards being tougher. We should be looking towards rehabilitation, obviously. And I can show you, and I was going to start grabbing statistics and everything else, and I figured, why do it? There's so many of you, you know what this is. You know what they are. One here is from the National Center for Child Abuse and Neglect reported that the number of children being sexually